It started with a small bet, a harmless wager, just a thrill to break the monotony of everyday life. At least that's what he told himself. Nathan Carter had always lived a structured life, a stable job, a loving wife, and a small, comfortable house in the suburbs. It was the kind of life most people would call ideal. But to Nathan, it felt like a cage. He longed for something more, a spark, excitement, a taste of real success. One evening, a friend introduced him to a casino, just for fun. Nothing serious, his friend said. Just a little excitement to spice things up. Nathan hesitated at first, but eventually gave in. It was just $50. What harm could it do? What he didn't know was that this simple decision would change the course of his life forever. As he stepped into the dazzling lights of the casino, a mix of excitement and apprehension filled his chest. The sound of clinking coins, cheers of winners, and murmurs of defeat surrounded him. The atmosphere was electric, and it felt like a place where fortunes could be made or lost in an instant. He watched seasoned gamblers, their eyes locked onto spinning wheels and flashing slot machines, moving with precision and confidence. He wanted to be like them, to feel in control, to manipulate luck to his advantage. The first bet. The roulette wheel spun, the ball bouncing along the ridges before landing on red. Nathan had placed his bet on black. He lost. Bad luck, his friend laughed. Try again. Nathan hesitated, but reached into his wallet, pulling out another 50. This time the ball landed on black. He won. Just like that, the sting of the previous loss faded. His heart raced with the thrill of victory. By the end of the night, he was up by $200. Not a fortune, but it felt like one. The rush, the excitement, the idea that he could turn money into more money with just a little luck. It was intoxicating. As he walked out of the casino, he thought about what he could do with more money. What if I had placed a bigger bet? What if I had risked more? The possibilities seemed endless. He imagined himself quitting his job, traveling the world, living without financial worry. He envisioned wealth, admiration, and power. He began researching strategies, convinced there was a way to beat the house. He read stories of professional gamblers, those who had cracked the system, those who had turned small fortunes into empires. He was determined to be one of them. The slippery slope. What began as an occasional visit turned into a weekly ritual, then twice a week, then every night after work. At first, Nathan kept his losses manageable, but the wins, oh, the wins, kept him coming back. Each time he lost, he convinced himself that one more bet would turn things around. It was only a matter of time before he hit a big win. But that big win never came. His savings dwindled. Then his paycheck barely covered his losses. When he maxed out his credit cards, he took out a small loan. Just to cover my losses, he told himself. I'll pay it back when I win big. Except he never won big. The more he lost, the more he bet. The more he bet, the more desperate he became. The cycle tightened around him like a noose. He started neglecting household expenses, letting bills pile up, dodging calls from creditors. The stress of keeping up appearances drained him. His mind was clouded, always calculating the next game, the next opportunity to recoup his losses. He started borrowing from friends and family, spinning stories of financial troubles, business opportunities, and unexpected emergencies. At first, they believed him. But soon, they began to notice the inconsistencies, the missing details, the evasive answers, the obsession. Nathan's gambling habits took over his entire life. He stopped going to family gatherings, started avoiding friends who questioned him, and began finding new excuses to stay out late. His performance at work suffered. His boss called him in one morning. "Nathan, you've been distracted. Your work isn't what it used to be. Is everything okay?" "Yeah, just personal stuff," he muttered. But it wasn't just personal. It was everything. He had begun to believe that one lucky night would set everything right. One big win would solve all his problems. It was all he thought about. The house, the car, the vacations he dreamed of. He was convinced that just one big win could bring it all to reality. Sarah began noticing his lack of interest in their relationship. Their conversations were shorter. He had become emotionally distant, lost in his own world of numbers and probabilities. She tried to reach him, to reconnect, but each attempt was met with vague reassurances and distracted nods. The man she had married was slipping away. The lie. Nathan started lying to his wife, Sarah. At first it was small. Working late tonight, had to cover for a friend, car needed repairs. But the lies grew. Sarah noticed the missing money, the late-night disappearances, the stress in his face. "Nathan, is everything okay?" she asked one evening. "Yeah, just work stress," he lied. She believed him, at least for a while. But the bank notices everything. Overdrafts, late fees, missed payments. One evening, Sarah confronted him with the bank statements. "Nathan, what is this? Where is all our money?" He stammered, searched for an excuse, but there was none. "I'll fix it," he whispered. Sarah wasn't convinced anymore. She started looking deeper, checking records, asking questions. The more she discovered, the more her heart broke. She wasn't just losing money. She was losing her husband. The big loan. One night, after a particularly bad losing streak, Nathan found himself sitting in front of a loan officer at an unlicensed lending agency. "We can give you $50,000, the man said. "Low monthly payments. Just make sure you pay on time." $50,000. That was all he needed to make everything right, to win back everything he had lost, to finally hit it big. He signed the papers without reading them. The interest rates were astronomical, but he didn't care. He was too focused on the idea of winning everything back. As he walked out of the office, he felt a flicker of hope. This was it. This was his shot at redemption. But hope is a dangerous thing in the hands of a desperate man. Nathan spent the entire night at the casino, putting down larger bets, chasing his losses, pushing his luck. The night turned into dawn, and as the casino lights flickered in his exhausted eyes, he realized something. He wasn't ahead. He wasn't even close. He was drowning. Final part. The fall. Nathan sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel, staring at the crumpled loan contract beside him. The weight of his losses pressed down on him like an unbearable force. His mind was a whirlwind of regret, panic, and desperation. He had nothing left. Not a dime in his account. Not a friend he could turn to. Not even a home where he felt safe anymore. Sarah had left. His once loving wife had given up, and he couldn't blame her. Their savings had vanished. Their home was at risk, and he had become a shadow of the man she once knew. He wanted to call her, to beg for forgiveness, but what could he say? He had lied, stolen from their future, and destroyed their dreams. A sudden knock on his car window startled him. He turned to see a well-dressed man with cold, calculating eyes, one of the lenders. Nathan's heart pounded. "Time's up, Carter," the man said. "You're late, and we don't like late payments." Nathan swallowed hard. I just need a little more time. I can get the money." The man smirked. "That's what they all say. But the truth is, you've got nothing left, and we don't take excuses." Before Nathan could react, the door was yanked open, and he was dragged out of the car. A sharp punch to the gut knocked the wind out of him. He collapsed onto the pavement, gasping for air. "Next time, Carter," the man hissed. "We won't be so kind. You pay up or you disappear." They left him there, broken and shaking. He clutched his stomach, coughing as he tried to push himself up. This was rock bottom. He had lost everything: his dignity, his home, his wife, and now even his safety. The aftermath. Nathan wandered the streets for days. His job was gone, his debts had swallowed him whole, and he had no one left to turn to. Every step felt heavier, every glance from a stranger a reminder of what he had become. One evening he passed by a small community center. A sign in the window read, "Gambling Recovery Support Group. Join us today." He stood there frozen, the words sinking in. He had denied his problem for so long, convinced he could fix everything on his own. But he couldn't. He was drowning, and he needed help. With a deep breath, he stepped inside. A circle of people sat in folding chairs, sharing their stories. Faces filled with pain, regret, and surprisingly hope. An older man gestured for him to sit down. Nathan hesitated, then took a seat. "Hi," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "My name is Nathan, and I have a problem." The weight of his confession settled over him, but for the first time in a long time, he felt something different. Hope. The lesson. Gambling doesn't give, it only takes. Nathan lost everything chasing a dream that never came, and in the end he realized the biggest gamble was thinking he could win it all back. The end.